So you guys were walking through this tunnel in Pandemonium, depleted of resources after having been in several perplexing combats. Exhausted. A couple of you were drawn, at least partially, mad. I think Serenity failed a check, and who else failed a check?
I did.
Yep.
Ciclon.
Let me actually write that down. Didn't have it on my sheet.
And off in the
there it is.
distance, you
Yep.
see this light that flashes, stays lit for a matter of seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, and then goes dark for 10 or 15 seconds. And then you see it again through the winds, shining like a beacon off in the distance.
I think it stands for Gatsby's hope of a better life.
Well,
Good night, everybody.
thanks for watching, everybody. We're never doing this again.
So what's next?
I say we head toward the light, I guess.
Yeah,
We've
right.
got no other option. We're stranded out here.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the frog creature thing pointed us this way, so.
Yeah.
I know that there's a town in some direction, as it was pointing.
I said safety was this direction.
Heading in this direction, which is against the winds at this point. You're walking directly into the winds. You walk for 20 or 30 minutes, and you begin to see a shape up on the ceiling. You begin to see the structure that this light is built on top of. Looks like an enormous rock structure that's partially illuminated by the light as it's blinking or spinning or whatever it's doing. But you're on the wrong side of the cave. You'd have to walk around the edges of the cave to come up to its entrance. If you keep walking this direction, you'll walk right under the light.
How high up does it look to be?
Maybe a couple 100 meters.
Let's walk around the edge of the cave. Get up to that entrance.
Okay.
Hold on, I have an idea. How strong are the winds right now?
They're deafening.
Ugh.
They have not subsided yet.
They're still at 4, right?
They are... Oh, did they get lowered to 4?
Yeah, we lowered them 1.
Gotcha. Well, they're at 5 then. They're at a gale at the moment.
Let me try one thing. I'm gonna grab the, let's say a rock that looks like it's about 5-10 pounds.
Okay.
I can find one around here.
Yeah, you're able to dislodge one.
I'm gonna pull out my rope, the last thing that's sitting in my pack, I'm gonna tie it around it, and I'm gonna try swinging it around in a circle and throwing it straight up into a wind to get caught and brought over the center of gravity.
So what's the goal here? I'm kind of confused as
To get a rope up to the ceiling. If I get it more than halfway up the cavern, then we can just climb the rope.
Make a
What if we're
strength
heavier than
athletics
the rope?
check and make it... Actually, first make me a dexterity save.
Okay.
To make sure that you can throw this rock, adjusting for the wind.
That would be a 19, I believe.
Okay, make me an strength athletics.
Man,
That would be a
rolling.
23.
Now, are you trying to keep a hold on the other end of the rope?
24. Yes. The idea is to try and just get the rock up there with a rope.
Takes you 2 tries. The first try, you get a mighty throw straight up. But it comes back down. The second time, though, adjusting better for the wind, your arms come partially out of their sockets as you throw this b-ball straight up. And it passes the center of gravity after it passes out of your field of vision. And you manage to grab the rope. And you feel the rope get yanked upward.
I'm going to try and climb the rope.
Okay. When you start climbing the rope, when you start actually pulling down, though, you just feel the stone coming down. It's not...
Right. It's not heavier than
It's
you.
not heavy enough for you to climb.
Yeah, it's not going to hold your weight 5 pounds of
No,
weight.
if you throw El Ciclone straight into the air.
But you've determined that...
It seemed like a good idea. I'll pull my rope back in and continue trudging along into the wind.
But you've determined that
She has a very crestfallen look on her face.
the height of the cave is at least less than twice the length of your rope.
Oh, okay.
So it only takes a few minutes. And you don't get the sensation of walking on walls. You don't get the sensation of gravity actually changing. Instead, it just kind of feels like the tunnel is rolling underneath you. And you haven't had this sensation until now because you haven't had any kind of landmark to focus on. But now that you have this focal point, this shape, this stone structure far off in the distance with this light on the top of it, it kind of, you see it moving, rotating with the cave until you're in line with it. And then you continue your trek into the winds. And it is, as you get closer, you see it is a large stone spire, a natural stalagmite from your perspective, coming up out of the ground. Enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Big enough for somebody to have built what looks to be a wooden structure inside of it. But with this distance, not only can you see the beacon far, far above this wooden structure on top of the stone stalagmite, but you can also see lights in the windows. Warm and inviting.
How are they keeping the wooden structure tied to the floor?
It looks like it's built into the stalagmite. It looks like it was placed
like
inside of the stone.
Hollowed out the rock and built.
Okay.
I mean, you can still build things in Pandemonium. The gravity's pulling towards the walls, so you can still lay a foundation and build structures. There are cities here.
Yeah, I was asking how they're keeping the winds from just horribly blowing it all away.
Oh, well, that you don't know because you're not close enough yet.
And the stalagmite is like 100 feet tall or whatever, several hundred feet.
It's enormous. If
enormous?
this was on another plane from a long distance, you would think it was a large hill.
So, oh my god, if this is a goblin tower,
A hatch opens.
we're gonna have words.
Listen, this is the safest thing that we've seen so far.
Yeah, no kidding.
And anybody who's laying a trap for us with warm, inviting lights at least knows enough about our psychology to know that warm, inviting lights are a good thing. And that's
Yeah.
frankly better than what we've seen so far.
Exactly.
That might be the saddest thing I've heard since we arrived in Pandemonium.
But if it's trapped, they know how to build the traps.
Which of you have light sources right now? Do you all have your lanterns lit?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have mine lit.
Okay.
I'm saving it in case something happens
Because
to
you're a
someone
show-off, we
else's.
know.
Well,
you don't have... One of ours got fucked, didn't it?
No.
Wasn't it Destil's?
So it just got blown out and
No,
she
relit it.
Yeah, the
Oh,
shadow
okay.
demon extinguished it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But no, the lantern itself is still intact and he relit it.
Right.
So approaching the structure, as you get closer and closer to it, you realize the wooden structure, it looks like a ship. It looks like a galleon. And some kind of ocean-going vessel, but instead it's encased in this stone structure.
Interesting.
And you come up to a set of wooden steps leading up to an entrance. And above the door, you can see a sign that simply reads The Hearth.
I'll knock on the door.
Okay. Do you try the handle first, or you just knock?
I just knock.
Okay. You knock on the
Might as
door,
well be polite.
and after a few moments, a slat, an eye hole in the door slides open, and you see these two little beady yellow eyes in the middle of this furry gray face, staring out at you. Just focusing on you intently.
And I'll shout to try and be heard about the wind. Can we come in? We're looking for shelter.
Where's everybody else standing in relation to Riot right now? Did everybody climb the stairs and are standing on the
Yeah.
entrance now? So these beady eyes dart back and forth between the lot of you. And then the slat slams shut, and you hear from the inside the door locks being undone. And that process takes about 40 seconds, and it runs from the top to the bottom of the door. And eventually,
Good place.
the door cracks open, and you see two chains still in place. One about your eye level, and then one lower, about chest level, that haven't been undone yet. Looking inside the building, it looks like an inn. It looks warmly lit. It looks like there's a population inside. You can't make out most of the most of the people, but it looks like there are inhabitants. You smell something not necessarily tasty, but nutritious from inside.
We've been to Inns and Sigil. We've smelled some things.
Yeah, that's true. Now, the face of the creature, he stands about 5.5 feet tall. And the best way to put him is he's a humanoid rat. Gray fur. If you've played Shining Force 2, that's the area where you want to be in with this creature.
Oh, you talking my language now.
Oh, I know I am.
What's that character's name so I can look it up?
Slade.
I knew
McDohl and I have
exactly-
had some conversations about Shining Force 2. We've been down that road.
Wait,
Google this
Slade
shit.
or
Alright.
Slade?
Alright, I'll look at
SLADE.
the site. Slade.
No, you're just gonna get Teen Titans shit.
But
Shining
So I
dressed.
searched for Shining Force 2 Slade.
He's dressed in a black tunic that looks worn, but not shabby. It looks like he's been wearing, like he has two sets of clothes and alternates between them. So he's got this tunic that's black and has white trim, and on his breast pocket, he has the sigil of the Bleak Cabal.
Leakers.
And he looks at all of you, and he shouts so as to be heard over the wind. And it says you're seeking respite from the winds.
Yes.
How many beds do you need, and how long will you be staying?
5 beds. Don't know how long. Maybe a night.
He says, we have rules here. Can you follow rules?
Ciclon
What are
nods.
the rules?
He snaps his eyes over at Elsie Clone. He says, you don't look like you can follow rules. What are you hiding? Show me your face.
That gives him pause.
Right says, well, I'll make no trouble.
Yeah.
He shows me his face or he sleeps in the winds.
Ciclon lets out a long fucking sigh and starts unlacing the back of his mask. He does not want to put up with this shit.
So, but you remove the mask?
Nah, Riot
starts
looks at this
to unlace
curiously.
Starts to unlace it.
I'm picturing like Frankenstein from Death Race. That's what he looks like under there.
I've seen it before, Riot. It's not
He
that
steps
interesting.
forward, so he's right in front of the door, so that only the rat man can see him.
Okay.
Pulls his mask up so that he can see his face.
Okay.
And pulls it back down, laces it back up.
He seems satisfied. He nods. Closes the door. You hear the last 2 chains coming undone. Then he opens it up and brings you inside. And let me get the map out for this place.
Oh, does this mean we can pause the music?
Yes.
Ah,
After you walk in and
Thank
the door
God.
closes, the winds are still there. You're still aware of them.
Alright, I'll lower the volume.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it down to 5%.
I'm shutting it off on my end, so feel free to shut it off if you want. Mechanically, once you're inside of a building, once you're safe from the winds of pandemonium, they don't affect you anymore.
Are you
Until
able to
step back out
recover?
of them. No, you're not. You can never recover.
Hmm.
So basically, if you fail that save and become on the path to madness, that save stays failed for all the rest of time, and you only get worse from pandemonium, never better. So here's the inside that you walk in. You come in through this door here, and there's this large common room. And right now, the only people you see in the common room are at this table here. You see a group of gnomes sitting around the table that look particularly jovial for being people in pandemonium. And the rat man, as soon as you all enter, he closes the door and starts doing all the locks. And he introduces himself. He says, I'm Stez of the Bleak Cabal. You all know the Bleakers?
Riot takes your earplugs out.
Yeah,
How
Serenity's
Ciclon
gonna do the
does the
same.
same.
Yeah, we know the Bleakers. And holds up her lantern. Listen, we got this far.
Then you know we take no sides in faction politics.
We don't intend to put you in a place to take sides. We just want to get out home. Do you know the closest, fastest way back to Sigil from here?
He says, first follow me. And he starts leading you through the common room.
All right.
All right.
He leads you into this kitchen. Back here. Where you see...
Serenity perks up a bit as you walk past the gnomish table, by the way.
Sure. What's this person's name?
Oh, let me grab my...
Feels weird not listening to the wind now.
Stepping into this kitchen, you see a large...
Sure, you did fail to see?
Very large woman. Riot, you have a half-giant friend at this point. Not quite that large. But this woman definitely has some giant blood. But she looks deformed in some way. When she looks at you, she smiles when she sees all of you come in. And she's wearing this kind of patchwork dress with floral prints. But she's obviously cobbled it together from several different dresses. And she's not particularly an accomplished seamstress. And over this, she's wearing a very tight apron that doesn't fit her at all. But she smiles wide, and you can see her face is somewhat deformed. Half of her head is bald, and she only has wispy hair coming off of it. But she smiles, and she welcomes you all very warmly as you come in.
And she's cooking something?
She's cooking something.
I'll say, smells good.
Stez shoots you a look. That's Gunder. Stay out of her way.
Not.
Stez leads you back into this room, and as he does, he says, all weapons, spellcasting items, looks at Riot, instruments, go in this room, load it up. He opens the door, and you see crates in here, and they have names on them that look to be written by the inn's patrons. He goes over to the corner of the room, pries open one of the bigger crates, waits for you to load everything up.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Seems reasonable.
I'll put my stuff in while asking him. I'll say, if you'd like me to play something for the.
I wouldn't. Keep it quiet.
But later, I wouldn't be averse to that.
No, he interrupts you. I wouldn't. Load it up. And you notice walking through the common room. Right now, the only occupants of the room were the gnomes, but you didn't hear anything they were talking about. They were keeping their voices down at their table. So my question is, does anybody not put weapons, spellcasting items, anything like that in this crate?
Check my character sheet real quick.
Yeah, you have to give me a sec to remember what exactly happened.
Okay.
All right.
Is it anybody's intention
does
to
he-
conceal a weapon or something from him?
No, I just want to make sure that there's nothing
does he want my
Serenity
shield?
would have forgotten.
Yes, he wants your shield.
Alright.
Kelian plays along after contemplating for a few seconds.
Yeah, no, she'll put everything in there. She'll also put the her whole backpack in there with the head of Bascaloon on the bottom, so it doesn't get
He
everything
thinks
else bloody.
about it. He thinks about it in terms of, do I want to spend the night out in Pandemonium versus not
He
being
gets about
armed for
halfway
a few
through that
hours.
thought, and his hands start moving his daggers into the box.
So nobody conceals anything from Stez at this point.
No.
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 Puts the lid back on the crate, puts a chalk slat in front of it, and then he looks to Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Says, write your name on the slat. You can have your gear back when you leave.
Yeah, I'll write it down.
What was the team name we came up with? You should write that.
Did you all come
Yeah,
up with a
you
company name?
That was
The Plane Talkers?
Plane Talk.
Yeah.
Plain
Plain
Talkers,
Talkers.
yeah. That's what it is.
Riot and the Plane Talkers.
Just the Plane Talkers, thank you much.
It's not
never
a
Riot
band
and
name.
anybody.
So, after it's all loaded up, and at first, Stez is not satisfied. After everybody goes through a round of putting it in, at first he's not satisfied. He goes one by one and asks again, are you sure you're not carrying anything else? Dagger in your boot, spirit, quiver of arrows, anything invisible, anything enchanted?
Nope.
I mean, at this point, Serenity's dropped She basically just has her belt. She even took her harness off, so
Okay.
she doesn't have
Kelian-
anything on her. Like the only
Kelian
thing
Yeah, it
offers
was
to be
easier
searched.
for me to put all of our shit in there than it was for me to keep track of 5 days of food.
And
So I just put everything in there.
Kelian offers to be searched if need be.
at Mahogany, your spellcasting focus is what? Your
My staff.
staff? Or do you carry any other spell components?
No.
Okay. And Stez grills you about it. Carrying anything else? Anything that could cause enchantments, magical effects?
No, and I haven't seen anything outside in Pandemonium that I could use either. It's a bit of a barren place.
And his next question is, are there any objections to subjecting yourselves to a zone of truth?
I don't
Serenity
have
shakes her head
issues
no.
with it.
Riot shrugs.
Shake my head.
So he leads back out this room, takes the key, locks the door up, and leads you back into this room here, this meeting table. Has you all sit down. And he casts the Zone of Truth spell. Does anybody try to resist it?
Nope.
No.
Then you all feel like you're under the effects of it. You all know that if you lie at any point during this conversation, he will immediately know it.
Yeah,
He says...
we don't have to tell the truth. They'll just know.
Right. And then his first thing is he confirms that he has all the weapons, spellcasting items, all of that sort of thing. Anything that he says is considered troublemaking. And you all affirm that you, in fact, gave everything up, which is the truth. He says, we have a few rules. No music, no shouting, no banging about. Folks come in here for quiet, and I mean to deliver. And he looks around. Any objections?
Get
Nothing.
no trouble from me.
Quiet sounds great right now.
He says, no bloodshed, no violence, no fighting words. Folks come here for rest, and I mean to deliver. Any objections there?
No.
Serenity shakes her head no.
He says, no magic of any kind, no exceptions. Clear on that?
Sure.
Riot will ask one thing. All right.
Okay. What does she ask? Where
Did
Who's
that not go
next?
through?
It didn't go through.
No,
Yeah, we didn't hear you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. She says, is healing magic? All right.
And he just repeats himself. No magic of any kind. Are we clear on that?
Clear?
No plots, no religion, no faction stuff, and no lustful eyes at Gunder. Are we clear on that?
Clear.
Serenity nods.
He nods satisfied. He says, very well, follow me. And he begins to walk down the hallway back into the kitchen. Leads you to this back door. This one here. He opens it up, and you hear the howling winds once again. But this time you see the winds blowing downward. You look, and there's a sheer drop-off after the door. And it just goes into this pit that just descends into darkness. He says, I don't know why gravity pulls down into that pit and not towards the walls. And I sure don't know what's at the bottom, but if you break my rules, you'll find out, and see if you don't.
Right then.
And then he nods satisfied, closes the door, says, welcome to the Hearth, and then leaves you to your own devices.
Riot's gonna go talk to Gun.
You gonna go talk to who?
I think that's the most strident
Serenity's-
leaker I've ever met.
Serenity's gonna go talk to the gnomes.
Okay. Now, there's a sign that is placed in the kitchen, like next to the kitchen door, like on this wall here. Oh, actually, there's more than that. I'm sorry. I need to... All along the upper portion of this wall are wings that have been ripped or cut off of something. You see pairs of bird wings, bat wings, what looks like devil wings, 6 or 7 pairs of them emblazoned across the wall. These stairs on the northern and southern areas go up to the second floor, where all of the bedrooms are. But there's no balcony level overlooking the common room. The stairs go up and then turn into a hallway, and up there is a solid wall. Right next to the kitchen door is a sign. It reads that there's no charge for daily meat, bread, water, or beds. More costly foodstuffs can be had once per patron per day at mealtime. And then it lists a very brief menu. Fresh vegetables for 8 silver. Watered down ale for 1 silver. cheese from God knows what for 4 silver, and wine for 8 silver.
Is it listed as that?
No, but walking through the kitchen, that's what you smelled.
Ciclon has a seat just somewhere, and then he just starts chuckling.
Okay.
Starts chuckling.
So, right, you're going to go in and talk to Gunder.
Right.
Do you wait for Stiz to leave the kitchen before you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
And
like Stiz very much.
you're not really sure what Gunder's doing. I mean, she's cooking, but only in the broadest sense of the word. Like, she's clearly simple-minded. She's clearly not up for this task, really.
Mhm.
So what do you say?
I say, what's on the stove?
And she very gleefully turns and clasps her hands together, and she says, "Delicious soup."
I say, well, it does smell good.
It smells like carrots is what it smells like. And not fresh carrots at that.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to make friends with her. I
Okay.
don't really care what the soup smells like.
And she motions to a waste basket in one end, where you see she has cut all of the carrots and thrown the tops into the soup and thrown the bottoms into the waste basket. And she explains that she doesn't like the bottom half of the carrots.
I'll ask if there's anything I can do to help.
And she kind of hems and haws for a moment, but then she shakes her head and she says, "Oh, Stez wouldn't like that. Wouldn't like that."
What would you like?
And she says, "I like what Stez likes, because Stez likes me."
Well, if you change your mind, I'll be out in the dining room. Be happy to help with anything you need.
Okay. So Ciclon is just kind of sitting at a table down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when he sees Riot come on, he's just like, "Hey, Riot, come here."
Okay.
You know, after spending this much time on this place, I'm thinking about changing my name.
Oh,
I really am. Ciclon the Cyclone. I want to have nothing to do with the wind now. Ever. I'm done.
Now, from the inside, you see there are windows along the walls, but right now they are all boarded and laced shut. Just so the wooden windows won't clatter so badly in the winds. Right now the winds are blowing away from the front door, so it's worse than it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But everything is shut down real tight inside, to the point where there's almost a stuffy atmosphere in the common room.
Right, so just, well, how about in honor of our Jenna friends, why don't you be the earthquake instead?
No.
No? No good? Well,
No.
whatever.
No.
Is
So
there
what
a fireplace?
is there a fireplace? There is. I don't know where in this room it is, but yes, there is an actual hearth burning, and it's nice and warm in here.
Mahogany heads over there because he
Right.
wants to know where the smoke is going because he doesn't understand how this works.
We'll put a hearth on this wall here.
Right.
And then another one back here, I guess. I don't know. It's just the smoke's going up and away.
And this is the wildest magic to Mahogany. He's impressed.
What is Kelian doing?
He's at a table, being quiet, going to eat dinner when it's available, drink when it's available.
Okay. Serenity walks over to this group of gnomes. There are 5 gnomes sitting around this table. So you've got to pull up a chair from another table and sit down. And you see they've all got mugs of something. Some kind of frothy drink. And as you sit down, they all look. And there are 3 men and 2 women. And the eldest of them, an old graybeard gnome. You sit down. They're all dressed in finery, like merchants. Like men of wealth. The old graybeard looks up. "So we've got a big one here." Then he raises his glass and says, "To visitors."
I'd offer to buy you a drown, but it looks like it's rationed.
And he chuckles and shakes his head. Says, "You can't get good drink at the Hearth. We always bring our own."
Oh, it's clever of you. Where are you from? Where are you going?
Says, "You haven't heard of us, my lass."
Shakes her head. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I've heard of him. Have I heard of anyone like this, having grown up with gnomes?
No.
Okay, then I'll shake my head no.
So you have the great pleasure of sitting in the presence of Middlebob III and company.
She'll look kind of taken aback. Oh, really? That middle bob?
So we represent Middlebob accoutrements and curiosities.
What are you doing this far from civilization?
Well, you can't find accoutrements and curiosities sitting in Sigil now, can you?
No, that's fair.
Our job is to search the plains for such curiosities and bring them back to Sigil and share them with the people for the betterment of our own coffers, of course.
You coming or going right now?
Staying put at the moment till the winds die down.
Are they on some sort of regular cycle? From what I could tell, they were just chaos.
And one of the women chirps up, and you can see that she's obviously very, very bothered. Like, she's had a really rough time in the winds. And she nods and says, "Yes, chaos is exactly how I would describe the winds of Pandemonium." And she says it in a very irritated, kind of no-nonsense manner.
Serenity kind of nods and responds exactly, and with the exact same mannerisms.
The old graybeard reaches in one of his many, many pockets. Destil, do you ever have the second edition arms and equipment book?
Yeah.
That has the gnomish workman's leather?
Yeah.
That's what the old man is wearing.
Okay.
I just decided. It's basically leather armor that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pockets. So many pockets that it actually gets a benefit to armor class.
Right, because it's going to hit something in one of your pockets. I don't remember if there's a table for what it hits.
There's not, but if I ever run another second edition game and somebody uses it, I will make a table. Because that sounds great.
I just googled gnomish workman's leather, and I think I found it. Is it? Hang on.
Post it in the Twitch chat so we can let the viewers see, because they had pretty good artwork of it in there.
Okay, hang on. I got a Twitch chat here.
But he reaches into one of his many, many pockets. I want to see if this is the correct one here. Let's see. Yeah, that's it.
God, what?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Gnomish workman's leather.
Pretty rad. I like it.
He got pockets
What?
on his boots, all up and down his pants.
I don't. Okay.
He reaches
He
into
looks
one
like
of his
he's
many,
covered
many
in
pockets.
tiny modrons.
I know.
He pulls out a carefully folded up piece of card, hands it to you. Opening it up, it has an address in Sigil for Middlebob accoutrements and curiosities. It says if you make it back to Sigil, be sure to visit our premises.
Oh, I absolutely will.
Then he
Wanna
offers
make it
to
back
sell
to
you
Sigil
some of his
anyway.
beer.
I'm alright for tonight. Maybe tomorrow. When are you... Basically, we've been heading through here looking for our way back at this point, and I was wondering if you would be willing to either take us on as guards. I mean, it looks like you've got it well covered, but more the merrier in a place like this. Or at least give us instructions on the closest way back to a portal.
And at that, he looks over at the woman who is very clearly upset. And then back at you. So we'll probably kick our heels here for a while, maybe another week or so.
That's probably longer than I can afford to stay.
Says, well, lodging here is free as long as you don't make trouble or talk too loud.
No, it's not that. It's more just we have work we have to get done back in Sigil.
So what about your companions? Do they drink?
She'll nod.
We'll inform them if they bring their own mug. A mug of our brew for 2 gold. We sell our own mugs for another 3.
Oh, thank you. How kind.
And he lifts his glass to you again.
I will stand up and bow.
What's cute?
And then walk over to the table where Riot and
Ciclon.
Ciclon are sitting.
Okay.
And they've been going over other kind of names for Ciclon.
Yeah, basically.
What are they up to now?
I no idea. Like, so let's go to Fantasy Name
Riot
Generator.
is stumping hard for.
Kelian,
Yes, sir.
you're the first to notice. Walking down this set of stairs here is a very scraggly gray woman that's wearing tattered traveling robes that at one point might have been very warm, but over years and years of use, they've just been tattered and dirtied. She has adornments in her unkept hair of dead twigs and branches, dried out bits of flowers. And at first, she's almost mesmerizing because it's impossible to put a pin in her age because she looks at the same time very youthful but very aged. And as she descends the stairs, she brushes her hair back, and you realize, seeing her ears, it's because she's an elf who are eternally youthful. But you realize this is an elf who has lived 1,000 years, if a day. She looks like she's seen some serious shit. She walks carefully down into the room and looks out at the newcomers. You see her pause at the base of the stairs. Looks at the congregation over here. This isn't a table, guys. This is a little pillar. So you're all just standing around this pillar. Okay.
I'm leaning against it like a cool guy.
Of course you are. Yeah.
It's alright.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say we're at a table.
Well, this is Middle Bob's table, so you're gonna push him out of his chair.
No, God, I don't know. There's nothing marked there.
Here, I'll draw an.
What
anime.
about La Tormento and Un Vaso de Agua?
Those are both pretty good. So this old elf woman sees the large group of people that have arrived, and then she sees Kelian sitting alone, and she begins walking towards your table. She sits down in the chair next to you and leans in very close and kind of very paranoid, glancing over her shoulder at your companions. She says, "Do you know who those people are?"
Kelian nods. They're my adventuring companions.
And then she's taken aback for a moment. And she asks, "Are you here to cause trouble?"
Kelian looks surprised at the comment, shakes his head.
Let me ask this before we go any further. Mahogany, do you wear any sort of druid accessories? Like, do you weave twigs and dirt and shit into your hair? Like most druids?
No. The closest thing he has to druid accessories is the fact that, like, various parts of his armor, he's reinforced with hardened wood.
Okay.
Did that get through?
She asks
Yep.
Kelian's name. Yeah, I made it through. That's fine. She asks for your name.
I give it. Kelian.
She says, "My heart can't take it anymore. The troublemakers that come in here, I can't stand by any longer. I fear the next one will kill me." I can pay you. I could pay you well.
Kelian looks at his companions and then back at this elven woman. I assure you, you've nothing to fear from me or my companions. We're
What-
just looking to spend the night.
But what it-
We'll get our way back to Sigil.
And at the mention of Sigil, you see her eyes get wide. Sigil, you're from Sigil. No-
Kelian nods.
Nothing but troublemakers in Sigil, a city of troublemakers.
Kelian chuckles at the comment, but yeah, no, I'll leave it at that. He chuckles at the comment.
She says, "I could pay you well if you're friends." And she says that word very disgustedly. If they start any trouble, if there's any violence or any loudness, if you shield me from them, if you stand between me and them, I could pay you very well.
What are we talking about?
She says, "Gold. I have gold."
Sure. You pay up front. I'll protect you.
She looks over the gnomish table. So I should tell you, I have an accord with them as well, so if you double-cross me... You're not going to double-cross me, are you?
I would never.
She nods. She seems satisfied, and she reaches out and clasps your hand tightly with both of hers. She says, I'm Earthwillith.
A what?
She says, I'm Earthwillith. That's her name.
Oh, Earthwolf. Okay. I thought she gave me... Okay.
She sneezed on you is what happened.
Well, as I mentioned, I am Kelian. I can introduce you if you like. You think that would be better?
And she shakes her head very vigorously.
Very well.
And she lets go of your hand and looks back at your companions. This is the Tiefling. Do you trust the Tiefling? The one with red legs?
Kelian turns his head. Of all of them, I trust her the most.
And again, she's taken aback and her eyes go wide. She says, why?
Our interests intersect a lot.
And she looks you up and down. Says, perhaps I mistook you. Are you a demon as well? Do you have their blood?
Oh, on the contrary. I'm the opposite of a demon.
You're a devil then.
Aasimar.
It's pronounced
that
Aasimar.
Whatever.
She says, there's another Tiefling here. He refuses to speak to me. I think he means to kill me. How do I know your friend's not in league with him?
Well, I've been in company with Riot now for
Riot. What sort of
several
name
weeks.
is Riot? Why would you travel with
Several
someone
months.
named Riot?
I think it's just a pseudonym.
That was the exact wrong thing to say to this woman.
That's even worse. She chose to call herself Riot.
I know.
She says, many Tieflings take such names for themselves. They're ashamed of their given names. Do you know this?
Kelian shakes his head.
And she keeps darting back her gray eyes between you and Riot, back and forth. So in the world where I'm from, all Tieflings look the same. You can mark them. You can mark them a mile off. They all have horns. They all have tails. They all have coal-black eyes. Since I left that place, every Tiefling is different. It's impossible to keep track of them. There's evil all around me.
Kelian takes this elf's hand,
Okay.
tries to assure her in a very comforting motion. All we are asking for is just a good night's rest. I can assure you, we are not here to start any trouble. We're not here to fix any vendettas. We're just looking for a place to rest. And as smooth a voice he can possibly muster.
Make a persuasion check and do that at advantage. Charisma persuasion.
Pretty persuasive.
1, 2, I'm gonna check that. 20.
20? She seems put at ease by your words. She says, I will tell you a secret. Would you hear my secret?
Absolutely.
Stez despises violence in this place. But if you were to raise arms against troublemakers, against those who would come here to harm him or to harm this blessed hearth, I could vouch for you. I could make him understand, and you wouldn't have to take the fall.
I appreciate that.
He trusts me. He trusts me alone.
Kelian is thinking, why the hell does he trust this crazy old elf woman? He doesn't say that, though. Instead, Kelian just sort of nods. Payment?
You asked for payment?
If she's going to be her bodyguard.
And again, she just says, I have gold. If it comes to that, you'll be well rewarded. You'll walk out of here richer than when you walked in, I guarantee.
I'm sure you do, but a token, something, let me know that you're not just pulling my leg.
She says, I cannot reward greed. It would be evil of me, and then they would find me here. The winds would come in and take me.
Kelian does his best not to change facial expressions.
And she looks around, and she says, sometimes the winds find their way in. Through cracks, through pipes, through chimneys. Sometimes they know where I'm sleeping. Do you need extra blankets? I could talk to Stez, have extra blankets delivered. Is that a token? Would you accept that?
Sure.
And
why not?
She nods. And she says, you'll see, when you go to your room, you'll have more blankets than anyone. Hide under all of them. Let the weight of them protect you from the winds outside.
Kelian nods, just hewing her at this point.
She looks very put to ease by your words. And then she stands up very abruptly, and she holds her hands together and nods and gives you just the very slightest of smiles, like she's not well practiced at smiling anymore.
And you said your name was?
Irthwilith.
Irthwilith.
Of Elm Branch, but I don't expect you know Elm Branch.
Kelian shakes his head.
Nobody knows
Afraid
Elm
I don't.
Branch. Nobody for 100 years. I fear perhaps it was never real. Perhaps I was born to the winds, and there is nothing outside of them. And then she very quickly turns on her heels and walks back to the stairs.
Kelian waits until she's out of sight and goes to join his companions.
Okay. What's Riot
there's-
doing in the kitchen? What's this about?
Riot, at some point during that conversation,
Okay.
at some point during that conversation, Riot left to go talk to Gunder again.
Okay. So Kelian goes back to the companions and says what?
Yeah, there's a crazy old elf woman staying here who's been in pandemonium too long and she's lost her mind. Just be careful of her.
Well, think she could be helped, or
I doubt it. Like I said, been in pandemonium too long.
I feel like I've been in pandemonium too long. Ciclon rubs his temple.
When you walk back into the kitchen, you see Gunder on one of the tables has some sort of animal, and you're not sure what it is. But she's butchering it on the table. You hear the loud crash as she's dropping this huge cleaver. That to your eyes looks like a weapon of war that would be wielded by maybe an orc or some such. You've seen mercy killers carry this sort of axe. But this giant woman wields it like a meat cleaver. And she's hacking appendages off of this 8-legged furry monster. And feeding the legs, bones and all, into this grinder. And you see her muscles straining against the bones. Grinding the meat.
So that looks hard. Looks like an ordinary person couldn't manage that.
And she turns around, and when she sees you've come back in, you see her. She grins very sincerely at you, and she says, "Hard work cleanses the spirit. Nobody's spirit's cleaner than mine."
Is there anything on in here, or is it just
Is there anything
like
what in here?
standard kitchen stuff?
Is there anything what in here? You cut out in the middle
Sorry.
of that.
I'm sorry. Is there anything to sit on?
To sit on. You could clear a spot, like you could hop up on a closed barrel or a counter or something, sure. But there's no chairs.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll sit on the barrel.
Okay.
Say, I thought you might like some company while you prepared the food.
And she gleefully accepts. She doesn't say anything, but she giggles and nods.
How long you been here at the Hearth?
You see her get kind of lost in thought for a moment, like she's trying to remember. Then she says, "Very long since Stes rescued me. He rescued me, he did."
Oh, were you lost in Pandemonium?
And she shakes her head and says, "Never been to Pandemonium. I hear it's not a nice place. I wouldn't go."
Have you ever been in the winds outside?
And she nods. Says, "Not often, but once or twice."
Is that where you were lost in?
And she shakes her head. "I was in the big city. Stes rescued me from the big city.
Oh, it sounds very dangerous.
I wouldn't go there either." Then there's another loud
remember what the
crash
big
as
city was
she's
called?
hacking this meat in half.
Right, do you remember what the big city was called?
And she shakes her head. She doesn't know.
So this is your job then. You have permanent room and board here at the Hearth in exchange for cooking.
Well, I work for Stes. And she looks very proud when she explains this.
Mm-hmm. You like the quiet?
She looks around at the doorways leading off of the kitchen. Not the doorways, the hallways that don't have doors. And you kind of get the feeling like she's looking around to see if Stes is listening. Then she leans in real close and says, "Sometimes I like noises too."
Says, what about songs? Do you like songs?
And at that, she reels back again and backs up to her table. She shakes her head and says, "Oh, Stes doesn't like songs at all."
Oh, I know. He told me not to play any, and I said I wouldn't. But what about you?
Well, I like what
When was
Stes
last-
likes.
When was last time you heard a song?
Ooh. A man played a song once, but he took the drop after.
Yeah.
I'll lean into to Gundar again
Okay.
and say, what if I could arrange things so you could hear a song?